Story number 1. Wrong uniform. I was alone in the pharmacy at 2:17 in the morning, doing post-Valentine's inventory in the fluorescent silence, when I heard the employee entrance beep open behind me. I turned and saw a man in a blue work uniform walking through the break room doorway. He was maybe 40, average height, carrying a grey plastic toolbox, no company logo on his shirt. I noticed that right away, but I didn't think much of it yet. "Here for the cameras," he said, not really looking at me. I blinked. "Oh, okay." Corporate had been on us all week about the security system acting up. Cameras freezing, blind spots in the recording. I'd filed 3 reports. So I assumed they'd finally sent someone, even though it was the middle of the night and nobody had told me. That happens sometimes. Different departments don't communicate. I went back to counting blister packs of antihistamines. He set the toolbox down near the pharmacy counter and pulled out a spray bottle. The liquid inside was clear. He walked directly to the camera mounted above the prescription drop-off window and started spraying it. The smell hit me immediately, sharp and chemical, like acetone but sweeter. It made my eyes water. "What company are you with?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Contracted through corporate," he said. He didn't look at me when he answered. That was fine. That was normal. Except he still hadn't shown me an ID badge, and now that I was paying attention, his uniform had no name tag either. Just a plain blue button-down shirt and dark pants. I told myself he probably forgot to clip it on. People forget things. He moved to the next camera, the one covering the register area, sprayed it the same way. I watched him out of the corner of my eye while I logged inventory numbers into the computer. He kept glancing toward the medication vault behind me, then at the register, then back at the vault, not at the cameras. "How long will this take?" I asked. "Not long." He crouched down and opened his toolbox. I couldn't see what he was pulling out. "You work alone on Sundays?" "Usually," I said. My hands slowed on the keyboard. "Overnight's pretty quiet. What time does your shift end?" 7. He nodded, still not looking at me. "Anyone else come in before then?" I didn't answer right away. That was a strange question. Not inappropriate exactly, but strange. "The pharmacist gets here around 6:30, I said. He made a small sound, like he was acknowledging that. Then he stood and walked toward the front of the store. I heard his footsteps echo on the tile, moving away from me. I kept typing, but I wasn't really seeing the screen anymore. I heard a metallic click from the front entrance. I stopped typing. He came back a moment later, empty-handed. "Lock the doors," he said. "Safety protocol during maintenance. Don't want anyone wandering in." I stared at him. "The doors lock automatically at midnight." "Override," he said. He tapped his pocket. "Got the key from the manager." "We don't give override keys to contractors. I know that for a fact. I've worked here 6 years. My heartbeat was in my throat now, but I kept my face neutral. "Which manager?" "Didn't catch his name." He walked back to his toolbox and crouched down again. This time I saw what he pulled out. Not tools. A folded canvas bag. I stood up slowly. "I need to grab something from the back." "Sure." I walked toward the pharmacist's office, keeping my pace even. Not too fast. My hands were shaking. I stepped inside and closed the door most of the way, leaving it open just a crack so it wouldn't look like I was hiding. The silent alarm panel was mounted behind the desk, disguised as a light switch. I flicked it 3 times. No sound. No confirmation. You just had to trust it worked. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, keeping my voice low. 911, what's your emergency?" "I'm at the Walgreens on Baseline Road," I whispered. "There's a man here claiming to be maintenance, but I don't think he is. He locked the front doors." "Are you in danger right now?" "I don't know. I'm hiding in the back office. Stay on the line. Officers are on the way." I heard footsteps in the pharmacy area. Slow. Deliberate. I looked through the crack in the door and saw him standing at the counter looking toward the office. He couldn't see me, but he knew where I'd gone. "Ma'am, are you still there?" the dispatcher asked. "Yes. Can you get to a room with a lock?" "The medication vault." It had a reinforced door with an electronic lock required for DEA compliance. I was the only one on shift with the code. "Yes," I said, "I'm going now." I opened the office door and walked quickly to the vault. My fingers were clumsy on the keypad. I mistyped the first time, tried again. The lock beeped and disengaged. I pulled the heavy door open, stepped inside, and locked it behind me. The vault was small, maybe 8 by 10 feet, lined with metal shelving holding controlled medications. There was a small rectangular window in the door, reinforced glass with wire mesh inside it. I put my face close to it and looked out. He was standing at the pharmacy gate now, the retractable metal barrier we pulled down over the counter at night. He had his hand on it, testing it. Then he walked back to his toolbox and pulled out a crowbar. "He's trying to break into the pharmacy," I told the dispatcher. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. "Officers are 2 minutes away. Stay where you are." He wedged the crowbar into the gap at the bottom of the gate and pulled. The metal groaned. He wasn't rushing. He worked methodically, like he had all the time in the world. I watched him through the small window, my phone pressed to my ear. He got the gate up about a foot, enough to slide under if he wanted to, but he stopped. He stood up and looked directly at the vault door, at me. We made eye contact through the window. He didn't smile, didn't say anything, just looked at me for a long moment. Then he dropped the crowbar, picked up the canvas bag he'd brought, and walked calmly through the store. I heard him moving through the aisles. I couldn't see him anymore, but I could hear items being dropped into the bag. Bottles, boxes. He was shopping. "He's taking things," I said. "Stay in the vault," the dispatcher said. I heard sirens outside. Faint at first, then louder. He must have heard them too, because the sounds in the aisles stopped. I pressed my face against the window and saw him walk quickly toward the employee entrance. He didn't run. He pushed through the door and disappeared. The sirens got louder. I saw red and blue lights flashing through the front windows. "They're here," I said. The police found him in the parking lot trying to get into a car that wasn't his. They arrested him there. I gave my statement sitting in the back office, still shaking, while officers photographed the crowbar and the spray bottle he'd left behind. The next morning, the district manager called the actual maintenance company. They had no record of a service call. Our cameras had been working fine all week. The glitches I'd reported were never real. He'd done something to them when he sprayed that chemical. Disabled them maybe, or looped the footage. I don't know. They never told me exactly what was in that bottle. I still work overnights, different location now. But I check every ID badge. I verify every service call. And I never assume corporate sent someone just because they're wearing a uniform. Story number 2. Helpful Neighbor. I mentioned it casually in the hallway on Sunday afternoon. Just small talk while checking my mailbox. My upstairs neighbor was coming down the stairs with a bag of trash, and I said something about needing to install a deadbolt, that the regular lock felt flimsy. He stopped on the landing and smiled, said he had all the tools. Done it plenty of times. Could help me out this week if I wanted. It seemed neighborly. I'd only been in the building 3 weeks, still had boxes I hadn't unpacked. The divorce was final in August, and Portland was supposed to be a fresh start. Freelance design work meant I could be anywhere, and I'd chosen somewhere I didn't know anyone. Clean slate. The building was old but well maintained, mostly quiet. I'd seen him a few times before, always polite. Held the door once when I was carrying groceries. I told him Tuesday evening would work. He showed up at 7:30 with a canvas tool bag and a deadbolt still in the package from the hardware store. Said he'd picked one up that afternoon since he figured I hadn't gotten around to buying one yet. I offered to pay him back, but he waved it off. Just being a good neighbor, he said, "Welcome to the building." I stepped aside and let him in. He set the bag down and looked at the door, running his hand over the existing lock. Asked if I was home most days. I said yes, I work from home, graphic design. He nodded. Asked if I had family in the area, anyone who stops by regularly. I said no, that was kind of the point of moving here. He smiled at that. Said it's nice having your own space. He unwrapped the deadbolt and got to work. I stood in the kitchen, not sure what to do with myself. The drill was loud in the small apartment. He measured twice, marked the door with a pencil. Asked what hours I usually work. I told him it varies, but I'm usually at my desk by 9 or 10, work until evening. He said, "That's the benefit of freelancing. Set your own schedule, no one checking on you." The installation took about 40 minutes. He was meticulous, checking the alignment multiple times. When he was done, he tested the lock from the inside, turned the deadbolt, pulled it back, did it again. The metallic scraping sound echoed in the entryway. He opened the door, stepped into the hallway, closed it. I heard him test the key from outside. Then again. The clicking and scraping went on. I counted 8 times, maybe more. He came back in and adjusted something on the strike plate with a screwdriver, tested it again from both sides, the sound of metal on metal over and over. He finally seemed satisfied, handed me both keys. Said it was solid now, I'd feel safer. Then he pulled a business card from his wallet and wrote his apartment number on the back. 2B, right above me. Said if I ever needed anything, he was around. Mentioned he'd noticed I usually come home around 6 or 7 in the evening, grocery shopping on Saturdays. He laughed and said, "You notice patterns when you live above someone." I thanked him. He packed his tools and left. I locked the door behind him, the new deadbolt sliding into place with that same metallic scrape. For 2 days I didn't think much about it. Wednesday I worked on a logo redesign for a coffee roaster. Thursday I had a video call with a client in Chicago. Friday afternoon I was looking for stamps in the kitchen drawer where I keep random useful things, batteries, rubber bands, spare keys. The spare apartment key wasn't there. I pulled the drawer all the way out, checked behind it, looked in the other drawers. I was certain I'd put it there the day I moved in. The landlord had given me 2 keys, and I'd kept one on my ring and put the other in that drawer. Nothing else was missing. My laptop was on the desk, my wallet was on the counter, just the key. I told myself I must have moved it and forgotten. Stress of the move, the divorce, starting over. But my hands felt cold. I kept opening the drawer and staring at the space where it should have been. I called a locksmith, different company, not whoever the landlord usually used. I told them it was urgent. They came within 2 hours. I had them change the deadbolt and the main lock. Paid extra for same-day service. While the locksmith worked, I ordered a battery-powered door camera online, the kind that records to cloud storage. Paid for overnight shipping. The camera arrived Saturday. I installed it myself, mounted it on the door frame facing out. Checked the app on my phone. Clear view of my door and part of the hallway. Motion-activated recording. I didn't check the footage right away. I'm not sure why. Maybe I didn't want to know. But Monday night I couldn't sleep, and at 2 in the morning I opened the app and started scrolling back through the saved clips. There were the usual things: me leaving for a walk, the neighbor across the hall taking out trash, a delivery person leaving a package at the wrong door. Then I saw him. The timestamp said 3:14 a.m. on Thursday, 4 days ago. He came down the stairs slowly, quietly. Stood in front of my door for several seconds just looking at it. Then he reached out and tried the handle. Not quickly, carefully, like he was testing whether it would turn. It didn't. He tried again, applying more pressure. The handle moved, but the lock held. He let go and stood there for another moment before going back upstairs. I scrolled forward. Friday, 3:14 a.m. Same thing. He came down, tried the handle, stood there, left. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, every night. 3:14 in the morning. Always the same careful testing of the handle, as if he expected it to open eventually. As if he was checking whether I'd forgotten to lock it or whether the lock had somehow failed. I watched the Monday footage twice. He was wearing different clothes, but the motion was identical. Slow descent down the stairs. Pause at my door. Hand on the handle, turning it gently, then with more force, waiting, listening maybe, to see if I'd wake up, then retreating. The camera only went back 6 days. I didn't know how many times he'd tried before I installed it. How many nights he'd come down those stairs while I was asleep, while the old lock was still there. The deadbolt he'd installed himself, the one he'd tested over and over, scraping metal on metal, learning exactly how it felt when it opened. I checked the footage from earlier tonight. Tuesday, 3:14 a.m., less than 5 hours ago, he'd been there again. Tried the handle. It didn't turn. He'd stood there longer this time, almost a full minute. Then he'd gone back upstairs. I'm sitting on my couch now. It's almost 6 in the morning. The sky outside is starting to lighten, rain streaking the windows. I haven't decided what to do yet. I could call the police, but what would I say? He hasn't broken in. He's just trying the door, testing it, waiting. The camera is still recording. In 9 hours he'll try again, and the night after that, I can see his door from my kitchen window if I stand at the right angle. The lights are off up there now. I wonder if he's sleeping, or if he's awake too, listening to the building settle, counting the hours until 3:14 a.m. The deadbolt is locked. I've checked it 4 times since I watched the footage. But I can still hear the sound of him installing it. That metallic scraping as he tested it over and over, learning exactly how it worked. Making sure it was perfect. Story number 3, Breakdown Lane. I pulled onto the shoulder of Route 19 when the front tire went. That heavy thump, thump, thump that means you're not driving anywhere until it's fixed. The highway was empty in both directions, just grey asphalt cutting through hills covered in bare trees. It was that dead time in late afternoon when the light starts to fade, but it's not quite evening yet. I put on my hazards and sat there for a moment, hands still gripping the wheel, trying to calm down. I teach second grade. I'm good at staying calm when things go wrong. I pulled out my phone and dialed the roadside assistance number on my insurance card. While it was ringing, I checked my mirrors out of habit. That's when I saw the cruiser pulling up behind me, light bar on top, the distinctive gold and blue of West Virginia State Police. It had appeared so quickly I hadn't even heard it approach. The assistance line was still ringing when the trooper got out. He was maybe 40, average height, wearing the grey uniform with the campaign hat. Everything looked right. He walked up to my window with that purposeful stride cops have, and I rolled it down halfway. "Afternoon, ma'am. Saw you pull over?" "Tire trouble?" "Yes, officer. I just called roadside assistance." "Let me take a look." He walked around to the front passenger side, crouched down by the blown tire. When he came back, he leaned close to my window. That's when I smelled it. Stale cigarette smoke, the kind that clings to fabric and breath. "That's shredded pretty bad. You're going to need a tow or a change." "How long did they say?" 20 to 30 minutes. He shook his head slowly. "I don't like leaving women alone on this stretch. We've had incidents. You should sit in my vehicle while you wait. I'll stay with you until they arrive." I glanced at his badge as he spoke. I'd seen state trooper badges before at school safety assemblies and community events. The number format looked slightly different. The spacing or the prefix, something I couldn't quite place. Maybe they'd changed the design. Maybe I was remembering wrong. "I appreciate that, officer, but I'm fine waiting here. I've got my phone." "Ma'am, I really think it's better if you wait in the cruiser. This road isn't safe for women alone." Department policy for stranded motorists. His tone was still polite, but there was an edge now. I felt my chest tighten. I'm cautious by nature. I don't accept rides from strangers, don't open my door to people I don't know. But this was a police officer. Except something felt wrong. The way he was standing so close. The insistence. That smell of old cigarettes. "I'm really okay here. My assistants should be here soon." He put his hand on my doorframe, fingers curling over the edge of the window. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to insist. It's for your safety." My heart was beating faster now. I tried to rationalize it. He's a cop. He's trying to help. This is his job. But my instincts were screaming something else. I pressed the door lock button, heard all 4 locks click down. "I'd prefer to wait here, officer." Thank you. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. He straightened up, looked up and down the empty highway, then back at me. Mom, open the door, please. I shook my head. My hand was already moving to my phone, pulling up the keypad, dialing 911. I put it on speaker and held it up so he could hear. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I'm on Route 19 South, about 2 miles past the Somersville exit. I have a flat tire and there's a state trooper here. Can you confirm his unit number? I looked at the badge again, read off the numbers I saw. There was a pause. A long pause. Too long. Mom, can you describe the vehicle and the officer? I did, keeping my voice steady, watching his face. He wasn't moving, just standing there beside my car, hand still on the doorframe. The dispatcher's voice came back, careful and measured. Mom, we have no state police units assigned to that sector today. Can you tell me exactly where you are? My mouth went dry. The trooper's hand slipped off my doorframe. He stepped back, still looking at me, his face completely neutral. Then he turned and walked back to the cruiser at a normal pace, not hurrying, not running. He got in, started the engine, and pulled back onto the highway. No lights, no sirens. Just drove away at exactly the speed limit, disappearing around the bend in the road. Mom, are you still there? Yes, he just left. He drove away. Stay in your vehicle with the doors locked. We're sending units to your location now. Stay on the line with me. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, watching the empty road. My hands were shaking. The dispatcher kept talking to me, asking questions, keeping me calm. I answered automatically. Yes, I'm okay. No, he didn't touch me. Yes, I'm sure about the badge number. The real troopers arrived 18 minutes later. 2 cruisers, 4 officers. They checked my license, took my statement, asked me to describe everything 3 different times. One of them walked the shoulder, looking at the ground near where I'd parked. He crouched down, took photos of something with his phone. Cigarette butts, he said to his partner. Fresh. They told me the cruiser had been reported stolen from an impound lot in Preston County 5 days ago. Taken right off the lot, keys and all. They were still looking for it. They asked if I'd be willing to work with a sketch artist. I said yes. They waited with me until the tow truck came. One of them helped change my tire. It turned out I had a spare after all, and it wasn't as bad as the fake trooper had said. I could have driven on it. When I finally got back on the road, it was full dark, and I kept checking my mirrors every few seconds, looking for headlights that stayed too close, that followed too long. I still drive Route 19 sometimes. I have to. It's the main road to my parents' house. But I always check the badge numbers now, and I keep the dispatcher's careful voice in my head. No units assigned to that sector. I think about how quickly he appeared, how ready he was, how he knew exactly what to say. I think about the cigarette butts crushed into the gravel and how he just drove away, calm and unhurried, like he had all the time in the world. They never found him. The cruiser turned up 3 weeks later in a grocery store parking lot in Maryland, wiped clean. No prints, no evidence, nothing. Just an empty stolen car that had been a perfect disguise. I gave my statement to detectives twice more, worked with the sketch artist, looked at photos of men with prior records. None of them were him. Sometimes I wonder if he's still out there, still wearing that uniform, still pulling over women on empty roads. I wonder how many times he's done it before, how many times someone got in the car,